Hello guys, do you remember me? I'm Orbitor, your Welsh engineer, and welcome back to part 2 of building your Mun Base tutorial thingy, guide, how to, wherever. Okay, in the last episode I showed you how to, first off, build a lander, land it on the moon, on the Mun I suppose would be the correct term, and then do a pinpoint landing by doing a severe burn, or pinpoint landing, what was it, we done a burn directly overhead and then we came straight down. Basically, a roundabout like that. Today, I'm going to do, first off, I'm going to show you how to do scanning the ore of the Mun. It's a particular way you have to do the scanning for the ore if you want to mine anything on the Mun, and also we'll do some pinpoint landing the way I do it, by landing a miner itself in this general area, or at least as close as I can get it. Now, I did say I was going to do a rover. If I get time, I will do that, but I won't be able to show you how to build it, how to mount it on a rocket, so that may be in the next episode or next part 3. But today's episode is all about mining, so let's go to the baby and see what we can do there. Okay guys, so now that we're in the vehicle assembly building, this is going to be a simple probe core, no Kerbals needed. What we're going to do is send a satellite into orbit around the Mun and scan for ore. So first things first, you want to pick a probe, well, you want to pick a probe core. One of these are probably the most used ones in the game, because they're quite old. They've been there almost since the game was started, or at least when probes were added. But I always love to use these things, because they're awesome advanced probe cores. In fact, what are they called? Remote Guidance Unit RC001S, or some stuff. And they got torque wheels, so they help with control. Okay, first thing, let's build the satellite itself. I think let's go for the tools. I think it's in science. Ignore the mods on here. What you want is the surveyor scanner. This is stock in the game, so it's not something you have to install as a mod. Basically, you'll send this in orbit around the Mun. You'll have this open and you'll scan for ore, and ore will magically appear. But you have to get in a certain orbit around the Mun. So let's first off build the rocket that's going to get us into orbit. Now, I'm going to use the Kerbal Engineer Redux mod. That's the only mod I'll be using this in the first 3 parts of this series. In the 4th part, I was thinking of going off rails and having a look at mods and perhaps what you can do with them. But first off, let's start off with out the mods except for this Kerbal Engineer Redux. Okay, let's add, what is it? I added a small FLT T200 fuel tank and a LV909 Terry engine, and that gives us a delta V of 2,480. That's more than enough to get you in orbit around around the Mun, sorry, and to change your orbit where necessary. So let's put stuff on there that we need, and what we need is power. So if you get the photovoltaic panels, I always suggest put 4 of these on any build, because the sun's going to be either on one side, and if it's not on one side, eventually you get the spacecraft rotated enough to get the sun on one panel. And just to make sure that we do have panels when we're in the dark side of the Mun, sorry, it's in utility, and last page, I'm going to put 2 batteries on there. There's no need to put more than 2, I think, on there, or at least that's what I believe. Okay, that's our probe. We don't need anything more than that. We've got power, we've got control from there, and we've got boosting from the rocket. That is very simple. You don't need anything more. Okay, but what we do need is to get this into orbit around the Mun. To get us there, what we're going to do is quickly build a simple rocket. Okay, hold down shift, click the rocket, click any part, and you can move the entire rocket. Simple, handy shortcuts there. Okay, we got decoupler. I suppose what we can do here is, if we go to aerodynamics, add an airstream protective shell. Small one will do. And this just makes it supposed to make it aerodynamic for when you're launching this into space, or through the atmosphere on Kerbal. There you go, nice, simple. Right now, what we need to do is build a rocket that'll get it into orbit around Kerbal. Nothing fancy. Okay, I've attached to the FLT 800 rockets there. Let's get the LVT-45 swivel engine, which allows us extra control. Okay, that gives us 2,791 meters per second. We need over 3,300 at minimum to get into orbit around Kerbal. Now what we can do is either add another rocket, but that will severely reduce our thrust to weight ratio from launch, or what we can do, which is what I'm going to do, is add some radial decouplers and some booster rockets. Now you can do, let's have a first look. If we put solid rocket boosters on there, whoops, not like that. Try to keep them on the decouplers. Sometimes it's hard to align them on the decouplers. Right, that gives us 3,932. That's more than enough to get us in orbit. You can add liquid fuel boosters on there and feed the fuel using fuel ducts into the center rocket, but that's up to you. I'm going to use solid rocket boosters because that's what they normally use in real life, and they're cool. Okay, let's quickly add some nose cones on there to help make sure that they stay aerodynamic, and also some struts to make sure they don't wobble around and destroy our precious cargo. See, nothing fancy in this rocket design. Now again, hold down shift, click the rocket, and that allows you to control the entire rocket. All I'm going to do is bring it down to the bottom here. Get some launch stability enhancers, put them on the side of the rocket, and hey presto, we're ready to go. Although one thing I probably will do, if you look at thrust to weight ratio on here, when we start off with the solid rocket boosters, oh yes, that's one thing, we haven't staged this correctly. There you go, all rockets firing at stage 1 with these will decouple the launch stability enhancers. And we have a thrust to weight ratio of 2.79 with the center rocket at full thrust. Now let's say we'll do the thrust limiting at half that. We've still got 2.45, that's more than enough what we need. So I'm going to reduce the thrust of the outer rocket. There you go. We're about 57.5% on the solid rocket booster thrust limiting. We stay at, where is it? 1.56. Now ignore that. That's if we have the thrust at half limited on there. So we're going to have to control that manually. I'm going to put that back up because we want to be able to thrust up when we get to the second stage, which will have a lot more delta V for. But that time we'll be getting into space, so we will have no worries there. Anyway, now that's set up. Thrust weight ratio at low enough, 1.9, so we don't go too fast through the atmosphere. Delta V, we've got 3,602 meters per second to get into orbit. That's more than enough, or should be in most cases. So anyway, let's go ahead, name this craft. Yes, almost forgot that. We'll call it Scanny. The Mun Orbiter. I know it's a terrible name, but screw it, that's what it's called. Let's save that and go to launch. Whoops. Okay, before we go into launch, guys, there's one thing I forgot to do. One thing I've got to tell you guys, and that is comms device. Now, this will not work without a comms device, even if you're in sandbox mode. So, let's go to science, and just pick any old communication device, Commutron, or the Commutron 88x88, and you plonk him on the satellite. Hey presto, that's done. No need to fiddle with it. Okay, let's go launch and get ourselves towards the Mun. Oh, and don't forget to save. Okay guys, what we're going to do by here is get this into orbit. A normal, what would you call normal? I suppose just normally launching to the east, and then that's it. I'll meet you in orbit then, and then we can plan our escape to the Mun. See you up there. Oh yeah, we're in orbit. Okay, so guys, what we have to do now is going to be a bit different than what you normally do getting to the Mun. However, there is only a slight change. So first off, I'm going to show you what you need, why you need to do this. what we're going to do next. And if I open up the dish, perform orbital survey, it won't let me because you need to be in a stable polar orbit at 60 to 1,500 kilometers. And what a polar orbit is, if you do not know, that's just north and south. So just orbiting on the north and south poles. So yeah, that's what we're going to have to do. And to do this, first off, you make a maneuver node, as always, go into the man. While the man's going over the horizon, you make a maneuver node, head off towards the man, zoom out to make sure you get a good angle, and hit presto, there you go. And I suggest you do your usual approach. Whoa. If I can get, where are we? 3,317 kilometers. 128. Bit closer, I think. 82. Yeah, well, that's a good round number. So now if we go focus in on the man, click on the maneuver node again, and we do the normal and anti-normal, which they're called down here. I think use the normal. Go into a polar orbit. We're going to hit the man. Because of that, let's add some extra speed. Oh, not too much. Go up a bit more. You can see the maneuver node is a bit janky. Now at this point, use the normal and anti-normal and retrograde and prograde. You're going to have to use the normal and anti-normal, which is going sideways. You can see that now. It's altering the direction. Yeah, it gets a bit complicated, sure. Or a little bit anyway. But once you get this maneuver node to go over the polars, caps of the man, you need to start using the normal and anti-normal and the prograde and retrograde. Just to fiddle your orbit into, well, for you to pass over the North Pole of the man. Okay, that's awesome. That's an excellent setup for our polar expedition scanning for the scanning probe. Let's go ahead, put ourselves to the maneuver node, and go burn. Okay, I'll meet you after the burn. Okay guys, now that we're in orbit around the man, we can start the scanning of the ore. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is right click on the antenna and perform orbital survey. And you can see this is why we need the antenna. If you do not have it, you cannot transmit the data back and get the map of the man ore. Now you can see we're uploading data 75, 85%. No, balls! No, didn't have enough charge. Okay, forget what I said in building the probe. You need 4 batteries now. Let's try that again because I'm sure it remembers the data. Or does it? No, it doesn't. Oh, balls to it. Let's double check anyway. Make sure that we don't have the map here. Okay, so what you're going to do is when you go to map view, click on the Mun, click on the ore tab like I have, and no, it's not showing any ore. That's sort of like the interface of showing everything about the ore so you can get the details. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do by here, yeah, it's charging up slowly, but I don't think we're going to have enough. Oh wait, let's give it a go. Review data, no, that doesn't work. Okay, perform orbital survey. No, we have not got enough charge. Oh, balls to it. Okay, so this is what we're going to have to do. I'm going to cheat by here, yeah. You show me. So if you go into MISC tools on hyper edit, increase the charge. Let's do the survey. Now we know there's not going to be enough charge in it to do the entire survey, so let's keep it up there. Yeah, I suggest that you add 4 of those batteries onto those Batman batteries, whatever they're called. Yeah, Batman. What are you doing with my batteries? Ooh, and look at that. We have the ore overlaid on the man already. I didn't think it did it in this view. Anyway, yeah, just add those 4 batteries. forget what I said of just 2 will be fine. Okay, when you go into map view now, you can see the ore. Make sure you've selected the Mun. You can change the style of the scan. You can have it nice smooth. You can change the color as well. I love this color here. No, not this one, sorry. This one, yeah. This gives us like a heat map of it. The red areas are like more ore there, and then the green areas less ore. I think you get ore from every part of the planet, except on the ones where there's no color there. And what you can do other than, you can change the colors to wherever you like. Now, what I like to do, I like to put it in either the lines or the dot version, because for some reason it seems to show up more. Anyway, let's put it on lines, and you can also change the cutoff. So say you want just to have where there's 30% ore or 40% ore. Ooh, look at that. Our landing site is just on the edge of an good ore deposit, so we don't have to change where our base is. Okay, yeah, so we can get the idea here. When you go to 80%, there's no 80% ore on the Mun. That's terrible. Okay, so now we know that we can get ore. Let's go and plan ahead. Well, not plan ahead. Let's go to the VAB and build ourselves a miner. Okay, guys, let's build ourselves a miner. Since I'm Welsh, and that's what Welsh do well. Okay, so let's start off. I'm going to use a lander can. This one, which is houses 2 Kerbals. Mark II lander can. Houses 2 Kerbals and only needs 1 Kerbal to operate. Since we got 1 Kerbal stranded on the Mun, what I'm going to do is, in fact, just use this as a single Kerbal in there. So let's go ahead. Now, let's do that later. First off, all I want to do is build a lander, obviously, because that's what we're going to need to do. Okay, we're going to need a fuel tank and an engine. Now you can see I've set this Kerbal engine redux to Mun settings. If I run Kerbin, you'd see the thrust to weight ratio would be low, and it won't be the correct readings on it. So at the moment we've got 6.85, but let's see what happens when we add more mass to this. Okay, so what we need to do is to land this on the Mun. So go to utility. We need landing struts. Put 4 of them on there. Hey. Okay, this is ready to land on the Mun, but we do need other things, obviously. But before we add anything extra on there, let's consider what we need for mining. Now, we need some way to drill the ore, so I think it's here, yep. Drill-O-Matic Junior, no. Well, it's 2 things you could do. You can either use a Drill-O-Matic Junior. Let's see how far that goes down. Not very far, that's a bit too small. Let's use the Drill-O-Matic Mining Excavator. The Big Daddy. Okay, place them on like that. Now let's extend the landing legs. Make sure it's not going to hit the engine. We come down to land and deploy the drill. Make sure that'll reach inside the depths of the Mun. Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's easily going to do it. Okay, let's retract them. Okay, they're all fine and dandy. But we need to be able to store the ore that's going to mine. So let's go to fuel tanks. We could use the big holding tanks. They're massive though. I'm going to go for you got the small and the radial tanks. How much do they hold? They only hold 75. Now we'll go for the small holding tank. Okay, so I got an idea here. Let's put 4 of these on the radius of the lander, and then put the landing legs on there. Hey presto. We're efficiently designing this. Compact designs. Okay, these whole tanks hold about 300 ore units, which you have to bear in mind we have to convert to fuel. And that's what's going to be good about this lander. It's going to be able to convert this ore and refuel itself even after landing. So you may want to do something like land per an empty fuel tank on there, or perhaps RCS fuel. Okay, so we need a converter. So if we go back to utility, we've got the converter on, we've got the small one and the large one. Let's put the large one on top of there. That'll be awesome, because that's going to convert all the ore into fuel. Now let's say you want to convert it to RCS fuel. What you can do is get these RCS tanks, put them on the side there. you can empty these RCS tanks so you only have RCS in there when you need it, and it's not adding extra weight for because we may not need it. Now let's go. What I want to do with this anyway is launch this into orbit after we got the ore, transferred it into fuel and everything else. So if we put the Clampatron, large Clampatron docking port in it, senior, and that will allow us to transfer fuel to any vessel with that same docking port. So also we can launch this in orbit around the man, refuel any vessel, land it back at the base, and mine more ore. Now, that's probably not the most efficient way of doing it, but this is how I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. I'm going to leave you guys design it how you want. Now, we want some power. So if we go back to utility, now we've got the Giant Soul Array XL. I suggest using them because they provide a lot of power. Obviously, just put 2 on there. I think 2 will do. Rotate it using the WASD keys. Find the right key. Come on, damn it. And there you go. Yep, they'll provide power when there's sun, but also we need power when we haven't got sun. So in utility, go to the last page, you'll find the rechargeable batteries. Use the Z4K high definition. Well, more than high definition, 4 times the definition. This will hold, was it 4,000 charge, which would be pretty awesome actually. I think we'll place him under here. So then that'll charge up and make sure that we've always got energy, even when the sun has gone down. Okay, another thing to note, these drill tips can cause overheating. Even this bloody thing at the top can cause overheating, and everything will shut down. So what you need is some thermal radiators, or thermal control systems I think they're called, obviously because I'm looking at them. And, was it large? I think it'd be a bit too big. Let's try the medium, see what that's going to look like. Okay, let's extend that. See, yeah, that'll be cool. Okay, so now we've sorted heat, we've sorted energy, we've sorted fuel tanks, mining. We're almost set. All I want to do now is add, I suppose, a little extra control. So if we go to the command and control tab, get the advanced reaction wheel, place him on here, and there you go. Yeah, it looks a bit tall, looks a bit weird, but it's going to work. And if you look at the thrust to weight ratio, 4.53, and we've got plenty of delta V to get to the man, land on it, and even take off if we want to. Yeah, this is not the most efficient design. If I was doing this properly, I'd have an empty fuel tank of some kind. I always like to use mods as well, where you can basically attach fuel pipes between 2 craft and transfer fuel or ore and convert and whatever else you need to do. But we're going to stick with this, as this is only a tutorial. This is just to show what you need if you're going to do it all in one craft. Basically, this as well could be sort of a lander going around the solar system, going to weird planets, landing, mining ore, and going to another planet. So I think that is our main build. I'm going to let you guys decide on how to engineer something to get into Kerbal. There are launch tutorials and everything out there, how to build a rocket and whatnot. I'll let you guys do that, because I'm going to launch this into orbit, and by the time I come back in this video, we'll be in orbit around the man, and I'll show you how to do my pinpoint landing with a large-assed rocket. With this badass rocket. Lander, it's a lander, not a rocket. Well, I suppose it's got a rocket engine on it. Anyway, there's my ramblings. That is what we built. Let's go and get it to the man. Ooh, quick note, before we go landing on the man, I haven't added a ladder, that's easy enough to do, but what I want to tell you is we need, Kerbal note. Now I suggest go into the Kerbal note, or find an engineer. Jurgar Kerman, yes. Let's have him. Make sure you have an engineer. The reason why you want an engineer will make sure that you mine the ore faster rate than anyone else. Because a scientist doesn't know how to mine ore. A pilot doesn't know how to mine ore. You know, they can click a button and mine the ore, but they won't know how to do it efficiently. But an engineer will do. He'll have the expertise for this mission. Like I would. Well, I wish I would have. You know, I suppose I could get the information and find out how to do all this stuff. I'm not a mechanical engineer by nature, but I do have the knowledge on how to find stuff like that out. Which is what an engineer is all about. How to, finding out how to do things. And, well, that's it. Yeah. Okay, guys, now that we're in orbit around the Mun, we can plan our landings, but a few things first. Okay, so for my landing technique, you're going to do a gentle burn as you would for any normal Mun landing, and then you're going to come down at a gentle arc and slowly burn until you come to zero, until you come almost over the top of the Kerbal habitat or base or whatever you want to call it, and land. But first things first, we're going to land on the dark side of the Mun. We don't want to do that. Now, I've increased the ambient light on this game to make it easier for YouTube to see, for people to see what we're doing. So I'm going to increase that again. But normally it'd be quite dark even in-game. So what I'm going to do is accelerate time until, well, let's focus in on the Mun a bit easier, until the landing site, our base, comes into the view of the sun. And there's a good reason for that, because we're going to use the shadow to help us land, or at least that'll help you land if you're going to do that. Now, what NASA did when they done the Apollo landings, they made sure that the sun was going to come at an angle so they could use, as I said, the shadows to land. It was an extra guide just in case the computers and all the guidance systems failed. Okay, we're almost in at the sun, and then we can plan our landing. Now, one thing you don't want is the sun directly overhead, because it's going to be hard to judge the distance from the surface from the sun overhead. All you see is the shadow beneath you. I think that'll do. Okay, let's go ahead and plan our landing. So let's set up our maneuver node for landing. Obviously, I like to use maneuver nodes because they're a handy guide. You could do without them. You could do the burn by eye. Now, I've created a maneuver node about 90 degrees away. Let's get a bit closer, actually. Was that a 45-degree angle, I suppose you could call it? Now, you can see we're not going to hit the Mun. We've roughly got a nice big burn that we can do coming down. So let's angle ourselves. You can see the base is up there, so let's do an angled burn as well. So we're going to come over the top of the base as we're coming down. This angle, when you're coming down at an angle towards a base, I suggest you see the maneuver node there, the circle, the orbit that causes. Line up the orbit on both sides. As you can see, since we've done that, we're going to come over the top of the base, or roughly. We can do some alterations as we're coming down manually. Okay, let's go ahead, do this bird, and see what we get from that. Okay, we're a bit late for burnings, but that doesn't matter. So, I was a bit late starting the recording, but that doesn't matter so much. As long as you get the maneuver node lined up properly, or at least you head over the top of the base, you'll be fine. So, let's do a quickly burn. That looks good. So do not worry about this being a bit late for the maneuver node. If you are and you can't do the maneuver node, you can always set a maneuver node on the next orbit. So do not worry yourself too much about that. Right, let's hit retrograde. So we're heading retrograde. As you can see, I've got the landing gear out ready, and let's align ourselves with the horizon to make for easier landing. Because as you know, when using the WASD keys, the nav ball is all about. It's what I mean to say is the nav ball is in the same orientation as your controls. Okay, so let's time accelerate down to about, I don't know, let's say 50 kilometers. Go to map view, set these as our target, so we've got something on the nav ball to go against. Now let's drop our speed to perhaps about 400 meters per second. Go to map view. All we want to do is make sure that we're not going to overshoot it. Okay. Whoops. I hit M instead of X. Okay, so we're going to overshoot it. That's good. I mean, we're not going to undershoot it and land before it. Now I'm going to reduce our height now to perhaps about 40. Let's see. Yeah, about 40 here. I think that'll do. Point retrograde. Now, as you see, we're pointing retrograde, but we're not perfectly lined up with our landing site. So I'm going to hit manually and go sideways until we line up with perhaps the landing base. Let's drop our speed down, go to map view. Let's see what we can get for 300 meters per second. Hit X before we finish. Click retrograde. Making sure that we are lining up with our base. That looks a bit better. Perhaps a little bit more of an angle to get us lined up. Oh, not too much. And burn. Okay, we're under 300 meters per second. Let's see what we got from that. That looks pretty good. I think that's almost lined up. We can do any manual adjustments as we're coming down. So let's go out into map view. Let's warp to about here, 20 seconds ahead. And this is the time now that we're going to have to start burning for us to land directly overhead. Now, normally I'd like to put as much fuel as possible in these. I think I underestimated it. We've got 779 meters per second left. Hopefully that is enough for landing. Now, if you guys are following this design that I built, I would suggest adding extra fuel tanks just in case you don't want to run out of fuel as you're coming down. Okay, let's start reducing our speed. Let's reduce our speed until we're coming to about by here for crashing. Okay, let's have a quick look. We've got 612 meters per second. If I click surface, it should give us our impact time. Yes. No, I want to know our suicide burn, yeah. That's on vessel. Suicide burn is 258 meters per second. We've got plenty. So we could do a suicide burn if we want to. I'm going to press F5 here and we'll try a suicide burn from here. For hilarity's sake. But now I want to reduce our speed, get a bit closer to the base. Now what you can see is the arc is reducing. That's reducing our potential energy of, the amount of energy you need to reduce by before you hit the Mun. Or for landing, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, we're coming in on the right side of the base. Let's start hitting manually, doing this manually. Oh, wrong way. That way we're going to go slightly. Okay, see what we get with that. A little bit more, I think. Woo, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. I'm going to do this manually because when I do this in map view, I always seem to struggle in getting a pinpoint landing. So let's see what we got here. Oh, that is looking awesome. Now, as I said, you need the sun sometimes to get the shadow. Where is the sun? I forgot where the sun is. It's over there. So shadow should be on that side. But I'm going to try and make sure that we're going to land on top of the base. Let's get you out of the way. Now, by here, what I can do is kill our speed as we're coming over the top or near these guys. Yeah, let's go kill our speed completely or almost completely. And come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, the idea is now that we're going to do a straight down landing. If you do this before you get to the surface, that makes cancelling out your sideways movement a lot easier. because you kill your speed while you're up in the air, or as the air as I call it, and in the vacuum of space. Then you can come straight down and all you have to do is worry about your height rather than going sideways. So let's do a quick acceleration. Will not allow me to time warp any faster than 1 time when you're under 1 kilometer. Okay, we have narrowly landing this. Look at that, we got 200 meters per second left. I would normally have a bit more than that in these landers. Okay. As always, make sure you're landing at under 5 meters per second. Or make sure you're at least under 7 meters per second is what these landing legs are rated at. Any faster and you'll start to damage. Let's bring ourselves down gently. We got a lot of weight on top of this. Whoa, we don't want to go back up. And we have landed. The miner has landed. Okay, so now that we've landed, we can actually start mining the ore. Now, obviously, most of you should know how to do the ore mining so far. It's quite easy, but make sure you have your radiators extended. Deploy your drills. You can set these to action groups, so there's no fussing about with mouse buttons. Moving, come on. Start harvesting. Start harvesting. And then what you can do is start liquid oxygen and liquid fuel and oxidizer. Now this should be filling up our tanks. Yes, you can see it. You should see our delta V start to rise. Come on, come on. Yes, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done our mining rig. Now I did promise us that we'll do a suicide burn. So what I'm going to do by here, I done a quick save, but I'm going to do a quick save file as landed. So we're not going to destroy this thing. So landed miner, let's call it that. I think I'll do. Save that, quick save, and let's press F9 for a quick load. Okay, now that we're coming down, we got a suicide burn, and the numbers, I think, change as we're coming down. Now, I'm not sure where we're going to land, but I'm not going to land on the base, obviously, because suicide burns are suicidal. Suicide burn distance. I don't get that. This is the part which I do not get. Now, I assume they mean terrain. So, we can do a 249 meters per second burn, suicide burn delta distance are about 5 kilometers. Is that when we have to start the suicide burn? I'm going to say when that goes to 0, we do the suicide burn. Yeah, suicide burn distance. When we start the suicide burn. Okay, when that goes to 0, I'm going to hit the Z button to go full thrust. And come down quickly. Okay, ready guys? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full burn, full burn, full burn ahead, Captain. Okay, no, we're not gonna make it, we're not gonna make it. We're gonna hit the side, No, come on. We are, no. Jergar Kerman has died in the name of science. What have we got? Oh, everything's spinning out of control, man. Oh, dear me. Luckily, this was in an alternate timeline. We can do a quick load. No, I'm not going to try that again until I get it right. I have never been good at suicide burns. Someone requested that, so I included it in this episode. Anyway, guys, all I can say by here is we've landed a miner. We've scanned for ore. We're making fuel. We got that monies going. So all I can say here is I'm Orbiter. Trust me, I'm an engineer. Oh, and by the way, the next episode I think we'll do a perhaps a mining rig on a rover, or at least a rover in any case. So see you in the next part of this tutorial.